Hopefully you've looked over the PowerPoint presentations and listened to the voiceovers for the slides for chapters 8 and 9. I wanted to just go over a few key points in the difference between direct instruction and the personalized system for instruction, PSI, I'll call it from now on. A lot of times students or potential teachers, they get a little confused in the difference between those two. So what I see people doing when they're doing lessons in these styles is that a lot of times people will think, well, I'm going to teach my student this specific skill and then I'm going to let them practice that skill, and they practice that at their own pace, and so that's PSI. No, that's not PSI. You've given them direct instruction and now they're just practicing direct instruction with you, helping them along, giving them pointers, correcting mistakes, and so forth. PSI is totally different. You are not giving them the instruction. You might have before this lesson, you might have gone over some of the specific skills that you're going to have them doing during this PSI part of the lesson another day. So let's say that you've taught them dribbling, okay, basketball or soccer dribbling. And now for this lesson, which is a different day, not the day that you teach them direct instruction, teaching them how to dribble the basketball or the soccer ball. Now this day, you're going to have some handouts, or maybe you're going to have a little YouTube video that they watch on their cell phone, or maybe you're going to have some visualizations of some kind for them to use to know what it is the objectives are for the day, or what things they're going to do. Maybe they're going to do different dribbling activities at different stations, and so they're going to, when they get to a station, they're going to read what it is they're supposed to do at that station. They're going to figure out how they're going to do it, and you might give them different levels, like an easy, normal, and a hard level to do that specific skill at that station or at that activity that you want them to do. So you're not giving them direct instruction, but you are giving them instruction in the way of some written material or some visual material or even a video. Like I said before, you could have them use technology. This week actually is about technology, using their cell phones. So you could have them watch a YouTube video of something going on, how to do something, and then they can take it from there and decide how they're going to complete the task that you've given them at that station. And so then they would move to another station and do something different, and you would give them some kind of visual or written instruction at the station, but they are interpreting it and they are personalizing it for themselves when they get there. They're figuring it out themselves. So it's like problem solving. You're not giving them direct instruction. So big difference between direct instruction and personalized system for instruction, or PSI. Please keep that in mind when you're doing your assignment this week, talking about how you would do a direct instruction lesson and then how you would do a PSI lesson. So like I said before, the main issue people have with these two is they think that once they've given direct instruction, they just let them practice what they just taught them, and that is still direct instruction. Okay, so you need to have some other way for them to get material from visually or written, or like I said, videos or something like that, where they're seeing what it is, the objective for the day is to do this, and how they're going to try to figure out how they're going to do that. So they personalize it themselves. So personally, how I've used it before, I've used this a lot when I do fitness stations, where I give them the task at the station. I give them alternatives. If they can't do it this way, this is an easier way to do it. If they're more advanced and they want it to be a harder workout at that station for that activity, this is what they can do for that. And then they can decide how they're going to complete the task at that station. So it's a specific task you're giving them, but they're figuring out how they're going to complete that, personalizing it for themselves and problem solving how they're going to complete that task using the material that's there at the station, and so they can complete the task. Hopefully you understand that, and good luck on those lessons this week, and I'm sure you do great if you just recognize the difference between direct instruction and PSI. And one more thing I wanted to add, they are practicing that task, figuring out how they're going to do that task for PSI, and they're practicing it until mastery, and then they're going to prove it to the teacher that they are proficient in it. So you could have them briefly come over and show you, or you could have, even like what I've used, is check-off sheets, or maybe you've had them have them self-check themselves, make sure that they if you're talking about dribbling, do they keep their eyes up? Do they use their fingertips, like if you're doing dribbling a basketball? So they can do some self-checking before they come over and get verified that they've mastered that thing. With a class of 50 or plus students like I've had before, I have not gone through where they come over personally and verify with me their proficiency. It's nice about PSI is that I as a teacher can walk around and personally see what they're doing, so I can make comments or praise them or help them out a little bit if they're having trouble with a skill, helping them remember some of the things we had learned about that skill so that they can be better at it. So again, PSI frees up the teacher to be able to give more attention to the students in making sure that that skill is being done correctly. Because if you are spending 1 minute with each student, especially like during direct instruction, and you have 50 students, your whole class is over, and by the time you get to your last student, 50 minutes, they've been doing the skill wrong for 49 minutes until you get there and correct it. So with PSI, you have more freedom as a teacher to get around and find those students that are maybe having difficulty with that skill, so they don't keep practicing it incorrectly until you get to them and you can correct whatever's wrong with what they're doing in that skill. So I find PSI very helpful in a really good model to use when I'm teaching skills.